Yeah. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, welcome to the Lrtn, and we are here at the conference of Women for Change in Action, Women in Action for Change. And ladies and gentlemen, if you're hearing this, then of course you will know that Women for Change in Action is an organization that is fighting in Liberia for change, more especially brutality, molestation, and rape against women in the Republic of Liberia. And of course, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be here to bring you live coverage of this event. And some of the participants here today, I just spoke to Wilma Machinini Red, who was one of the key reporters in the Republic of Liberia from the ELBC, and she's going to be one of the participants in here today. And we have Reverend Ade, also a participant here in, I think he one of the panelists today, because they're going to be discussing issues affecting women in the Republic of Liberia. And we're going to be here to bring you a live coverage of this event. The event going to be twofold. Today going to be, this morning rather, we're going to be taking part in the panel discussion of how we can prevent these things that are happening to women in Liberia. And of course, tonight is the actual program. And ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be bringing in people from Liberia who we have around the world to bring live coverage of this event. We have a reporter in the Republic of Liberia who will be talking to us momentarily. But at the same time, we'll try to rejoin Joe Anderson. And when the program gets underway, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be bringing it to you live.
Flex, la music, level a level, pound pick.
D12 on the beat.
Hold up, calm down. Hold up, calm down. Hold up, calm down. Hold up, calm down. Look at them playing. Woman, them playing. Happy them playing juju. Some of them hold up, calm down. Hold up, calm down. Say, life a turn by turn. Hold on to your blessing, cause Lord will bless you one day. Don't rush, cause you will crush. Don't go too far from your Lord. Younger than playing juju. Woman than playing juju. Papi than playing juju. Younger than playing juju. Hold up, calm down. Hold up, calm down. Hold up, calm down. Hold up, calm down. Say blessing for yourself. Hold up, my brother, my sister. Cause the Lord have a plan for you. rush your turn. Don't move too fast. Don't make the mistake that people make every day. Don't make the mistake that people make every day. Younger than playing. Woman than playing. Happy than playing. Younger than playing. Mercy, mercy, mercy. Oh Lord, have mercy, mercy, mercy. Every day we pray. Every day we pray. Just get on your knees and pray to the Lord. Anything here for you, you will see for yourself. Don't let nobody take you another route. Oh Lord, have mercy. Flex.
Once again, ladies and gentlemen, good morning to you, those of you in television land listening to this broadcast. This is Lrtn, and of course, speaking is G. Cannibal, and with me is Mimi. Mimi is the president for the Women in Action for Change in the Republic of Liberia. Mimi, we want to welcome you to our Lrtn microphone this morning because we are here to cover your women program. Tell us what are some of the things that we're going to be hearing here today.
The Women in Action for Change is an organization that cater to women and girls in Liberia who have been raped. So this organization was founded like 2 years ago, and we kind of building a community center within Liberia. I'm really sorry that the noise in the background is like really loud. So we're trying to build a community center where we provide awareness program and education program for women and girls so that we can prevent rape at an early stage before it occurs. But also doing that, we'll be able to empower women by providing sewing, baking, and soap making. So these are programs that we want to be able to implement and give these women so that it can empower them instead of them sending the little girls in the streets, that they can be able to support their daughters.
Right. You know, one of the things I wanted to ask you, just tell us when this organization was put together. When did you found this organization?
The organization was founded like 2 years ago, 2017, it was founded. And the reason why I founded the organization, because I myself was a victim of rape. So I'm like, I understand women cases and the plight that rape really affects a person, but in the Liberian setting, we really don't know the extent of rape, how much it impacts a child. So I founded this organization that, look, when we educate our girls from a young age, we educate our moms and tell them, say, look, you know, this is what you can do to prevent rape. I mean, we will not be able to prevent all of the rape cases in Liberia, but at least we can bring that awareness program, we can bring that education program to women so that they can understand, what do I do, you know, in certain situations? How do I educate my daughters or my son from being raped? So this is why we funded this organization.
Well, you know, you got to go because you got a lot of work to do here today, but you got a panelist that is structured, that is ready to go. Weber Machinini, who is a friend of mine from the ERBC, is also on that panel. Women and I, we have not seen each other for a while, but we saw each other here today. So just tell me, you got some powerful people like Mr. Adetu, Reverend Adetu, and other people on that panel. How did you assemble these people today?
All right. What I did was I wanted the program to be an educational program, you know, because most of the Liberian programs is geared to, okay, we'll go on the football field, we'll play soccer. But we want to be able to discuss these issues so that when we discuss these issues, you know, we can find solutions to them. Look, your idea, my idea, and all of our ideas together, we can make a change. Because that's the meaning for Women in Action for Change, that, look, it's not just one woman. It's all of Liberian women. And until all of Liberian women can come together as one, we will never change the rape epidemic in Liberia. I call it epidemic because it's like every time you turn around, there's a girl being raped.
Right.
And look, when I started the organization, I interviewed more than 60 women.
Right.
Out of the 60 plus women, I stopped counting at 60. Right. Out of those 60 women, almost only 3 out of the 60 women say they were not raped.
Right.
So that means that about 98 to 99% of Liberian women who
Right.
have been sexually molested,
Right.
who have been raped, or who have had some sexual, unwanted events at them. I'm not saying that there are not other little boys who have been raped. Yes, there are boys. There are boys and men who have been abused. But this program is geared more to women fighting
Right.
to prevent rape.
Because they are the largest population.
Exactly.
Now, let's look at a situation recently in the Republic of Liberia. There was a lady who was at the Capitol building protesting,
Yes.
and said she was not going to leave until there was something done by the government. Now,
Oh, you mean Cynthia Shannon?
that's right, Cynthia.
Cynthia Shannon. Yes.
Right.
I'm
So
in
I
contact
want you
with
to
Cynthia.
speak to that because we're going to be bringing in reporter from Monrovia today that will speak directly to that event, and I hope that we can have Cynthia also on the line this morning, and people will be able to see Cynthia as she speaks to the situation with her child. But let's go back quickly to that. So just let people know what was your participation and what are you going to do to at least help that lady to change the narrative of what is happening in Liberia as it relates to the situation we're here for today.
All right. With Cynthia, we kind of got in contact with Cynthia.
Right.
So Cynthia is going to the borough of Nukutan,
Right.
where we have the first women's center that is being. We're not building it, but we're kind of renovating the center for women. So she's going to be with other women, and then we're going to Skype her into this program. So, all right, Cynthia, with Cynthia's situation, the situation has gotten so political. And Women in Action for Change is not political.
Right.
Yes, I know advocacy has to come with politics.
Right.
But we wanted to stay out of the political scene for now because of the situation of the kids. What Cynthia is going to do, we want to hear Cynthia solve the story.
Right.
We want Cynthia to be able to tell us how we can help to change policy as women. You know, one beautiful thing that happened to Cynthia that really broke my heart, I remember the day Cynthia went to Capitol building. It was Cynthia alone. I'm not criticizing all Liberian groups, but that includes all of Liberian women. I saw Cynthia, it was like she was alone fighting her cause. I was like, where are the other Liberian women? You understand? And that really broke my heart. I wish there were like Liberian women in America, all of us, like, follow 1 million people follow behind Cynthia and all other mothers or all other victims of rape and fight their cause with them. This is why I say, look, we Liberian women, we have to speak with one voice. Until we learn how to speak with one voice and cooperate with each other, we'll never make that change.
Sister Bibi, we will come back to you today as we stay here and continue this broadcast. We'll talk to you again, but we got to go back to Joe.
All right, Joe.
Take a look at my baby, yeah. God damn it, take a look at my baby, yeah. We see riding, we be looking so pretty, yeah. Take a look at my baby, yeah. Baby, I do anything to show you that I'm down, yeah. Come around, yeah. You was vibing way before the new sound, girl, you know you were.
Yeah, it's why I love my baby girl, because she hold me down for real. Scoop me up in that black Nissan when I didn't have them wheels. So now I got my baby riding with me. Plus she be looking extra pretty. Put 100 carats on and gave me chills. For real.
I'm like, ooh,
Yeah.
look at my juice. Make some noise. mama, what you saying? I don't wanna go another day, yeah. If I don't get to see your pretty face, yeah. Oh no, yeah. 'Cause you know I like it when you say that.
Thank you, thank you. I was going through a little bit of a research on this issue, and a couple of things were pretty alarming. And our organization, the Lrtn News, did this survey or did this report, and this is a 2008 report that mentioned and this report is kind of interesting. They say 19 to 20% of women and girls in Liberia have reported being raped by a stranger. 70 to 73% of married women have been sexually assaulted by their husbands. Kind of interesting. And they also mentioned that in Liberia, there's this issue of hyper masculinity, which in the definition here, the normalization of rape and failure to prosecute the perpetrators is one of the biggest issues also in Liberia. So these things, one way or the other, every one of us here knows somebody or heard about somebody who has gone through this issue, especially either during the war or some point in time during their life. So hopefully at the end of the discussion, we will address this issue from a more pragmatic standpoint. Now, while we wait for our first speaker to come out and hopefully the technical issue is resolved, I will hand the microphone to each of our panelists. I'm not going to go by the name, but I'll just go by how he has seated on the table to just give a brief introduction of yourself within probably 2 minutes or so, or maybe less than that if you can. So we'll start from this side of the table. No, we'll go on the far end and start with the lady and work our way down.
Now we'll set it or now we'll bring them back. Okay.
Oh, it's up to you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Dr. Williametta Simmons. I am a licensed psychologist. I have a practice in Ballard, Kenwood, Pennsylvania. That's up the street on City Ave, and so it's in Pennsylvania. And I have been in the field for about 12 years now. Even though I look 25. So that's just genetics. Let's see, what else? My practice, it's a generalist practice, but I do a lot of work with women. About 95% of my clients are actually young women. And the other thing that's near and dear to my heart is medical mission. So every year, I am one of the lead members of the Liberia Medical Mission team. And we go to Liberia for about 2 to 3 weeks at a time. And we provide services. So when I go to Liberia, part of my job is to train healthcare professionals, mental health care professionals, and also to go to various villages to talk to them about mental health issues, including, but not limited to, sexual and gender-based violence. So this is something that's near and dear to my heart. It's something that I see both here in the United States as well as back home. And I've made it my life's goal to work on that particular issue. So hopefully I can be of help. I won't go into too many other details, but that's me. I'm a professor at a bunch of other universities, but Dr. Simmons, thank you. It's my honor to be here. Thanks.
Good morning. Thanks, Doc. My name is Josiah Yedu, and I represent the Gentlemen's Club of Pennsylvania. I'm here in the capacity of its chairman. We are indeed very grateful to have been asked by this august body to present today for a just cause. We want to take our hats off to women, including our dear president, who has put herself out there as the voice of many women who have experienced that ordeal. And so this morning, I believe is going to be our challenge to see how best
because some of us will be coming with our frustration. Husband will beat us. Somebody must have molested us, or our family, or our thought will be able to have time to come and share our problem here. And at the same time, this organization will be able to advise you on the steps that you will take to make sure that whatsoever problem that you have, it can be solved. Meaning, the organization
Solo?
fight against rape, rape
Solo?
to make violence
Yeah, Mr. Cooper.
against
Yeah,
women.
Mr.
Yes.
Yambo, how are you?
So,
Well, I'm good. Uh,
so,
we
so
watching you guys, and
will be able to
let me just put this together quickly. Then I come to you, ladies and gentlemen. If you're just listening, if you're just joining us, this is LRTN, and in Monrovia is Solo, and we're gonna go live to Solo, where we're gonna get a live uh, broadcast from Liberia, where people have gathered concerning the rape of a young girl. I think her mom is sitting in our audience, and we're going to be talking to people live from Liberia. Our reporter is there. Solo, you listening to me?
Yes, I'm listening.
Okay. How the situation on the ground?
The situation is okay. We have a good weather right now, and the women's are pretty seated, waiting you guys there to relate with us. As you can see on the camera right now, this is the late Odell Sherman who was allegedly raped and killed. Mother who is sitting right now in the camera.
Okay. And how she coming on? How she holding up?
For Well, she's trying to pour herself about the situation, but as you all know, it's something easy. It's
Okay.
not just easy for her. And they started a little a prayer, a service in order to open the program, and she led the ladies into prayer, and she expressed how difficult it is for her to put herself above it. And I can tell you, Mr. Cannonball, it's very tough. It's a tough situation for other ladies who are sympathizing with her, hoping and praying that she could get over it.
Well, the Liberian Women for Action for Change is having their program, and as you can see, we are at that program. So that's set for us, or maybe talk to Ms. Sherman, or maybe bring the microphone to her so that we can hear from her.
Okay. She's hearing. Let me see
Well,
what
good
she.
afternoon, Ms. Sherman. How are you?
let's go.
Thank God for you. Solo?
Yeah.
Solo, when you speak,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
the mic is okay, but can you hand Mrs. Sherman that microphone for a minute so that we can talk to her before you can come back in?
No, Mr. Cannonball, we are not using microphone right now. We are using the audio
Oh,
with the
I
talk.
see what you guys using.
But if
I,
you want,
I, I
if
got
you want, maybe you could use it. Give her the earphone.
Yes,
Give
please
her the
give her the headphone.
earphone.
Yes, that would be nice. Now we're losing the
Okay.
feed if you if
Let me get it connected
if
and
you
give it.
if you move around too much. Now we got you back.
Okay.
What we want to do a town hall style. So we got prominent journalists in this room. Uh, I'm not going to call name here, but people will be asking questions, and I want to do it a town hall style so that I can be impartial as it relates to talking to Mrs. Chairman. Fanning is the president for the Women in Action for Change here in the United States. She's sitting with me right here, so obviously she's going to be asking some questions. Mr. Sherman, tell us how old your daughter was?
Yes, she was 21 years old. November 14th, she will make her 22 years old. Yes.
Okay, give us a over. Can you give us an overview of actually what happened before we can break it down into it?
Yeah, this is the problem right
Yeah.
now.
Listen, let me digress a little bit. I want you to tell me, Mr. Shimon, what kind of person Odell was. Can you hear me?
No, you went off. I just getting you again.
Okay, the question was, I want to revise what I said. I want to digress a little bit. I want to go back a little bit.
Okay.
Tell us what kind of person Odell was.
Oh, there was a very loving kid, so friendly, open everywhere she went. People fell in love with her because she was just easy to love, very much easy to love. Yes,
That's good.
there were nowhere that she ever
And
went that people went against her. Nowhere she from there. Nowhere she ever went and she ever fought anybody, even during school days. She never ever did because she was always sorry for my condition. When even people pick her heart, she said, Mama, only for your business, I don't want to fight. Not to say I'm so lazy, but if I fight anybody, you will be forced to go to police station and spend some money. So she always took people, she always took disadvantages for people only because of me. And it's not just easy, but by the grace of God, I know that I will make it by the special grace of God. I know that I will make it, but it's not easy from the day of my daughter's death up to this day. I'm still down with pressure. They contacted me yesterday. I told her I just couldn't come out alone because since my daughter married, I'm not going out alone. But her husband told me, say, no, you can't let her just go. Send, they will come and pick you up just that day. But it has not really been an easy task. Because understanding the Liberia that we live in right now is not an easy place to bring up great child. Me, this child was born in the interior. When we fled from the Liberia Civil Crisis 1990, when I went in the interior, I remained in the interior till 1997. November 14th was when I gave birth to her. And we remained in the interior till even up to my school time was almost gone. Well, yeah, then still we came back Buchanan and I fought her and Odell and I attended the same school together, SDA. Right on Thomas Street, it was so challenging for me, but I tried hard because I can remember many days in class. Whenever they say recess period, she would come to my own class, even when I was in the 12th grade. When she come in, my friends are mocking at me, but I bear all of those things because I knew one day, with all what I was going through, one day things were going to be better for me. But I refused to lose my hope. Even up to this time, I refuse to lose my confidence in God. I refuse that situation that my hope will be broken in God. I still strongly believe that God will still keep his confidence with me. Even though
yeah,
my daughter was a job of my life, but I still believe that God would make it up to me. I still, I still, still believe that. Yes. Yes.
We understand your pain. There's a lot of people that you make crying in this room now. But let me ask you, how many children you got in all? I know Odell is the only girl.
Yeah, I got two little boys. And Odell was
Okay.
the bigger child when I had Odell. I never had any other kid until I graduated from high school. So the space between Odell and my children was like 15 years. So they are much smaller. They are much smaller.
Cynthia,
Yes, baby.
Cynthia, hang in there, okay? I mean, we all understand that it's not an easy thing, but you have to hang in there. But
Yes, I know. I know. I know.
Well, we will, if you have questions for the panel here, what can we do? How can we make it better? You understand? I mean, we know we are a new organization, but we see your pain in it with you. And if there's anything you have to say with me, or do you, if the crowd got any question they want to ask for Cynthia, I mean, can you ask that question?
I will. Let me let me try to speak to Rama quickly. You want to come sit here for a minute?
What you get to know?
You want to? No, I will. I know you want to ask a question, please?
Ask your question. Hello, everybody. I'm Roma Washington Red. And you know, I used to work on television and radio. I've been crying all day today because the stories we're hearing and the information, the number of rape cases is overwhelming. Okay. And so we want to know what are the next steps we are planning to take as an organization, perhaps. How can we get more people to the community involved? Well, it's not an easy thing to start a conversation in the way it's not because sometimes people can't be educated until they can see the results. So we are doing the best we can to bring results into, I mean, for people to see the results. And these are things we want to do. We choose to go back and how we go within the Nigerian community. Let's
Come
do
see
that.
the earpiece. I'm not really getting
The
it.
best we can go to population. And that's what I keep saying, Roma. Until like we all really learn how to speak with one voice, we will never go for change. That is, look, everyone we need to go around, rally around each other. We need to put people in the center. We need to put people in positive representative. If we want change, we have to be able to do it over that. Until we can get together and form, all of these organizations need to get together. Let's discuss this how can we
Your network is acting up.
the group and get change together. I mean, I know it's very difficult. Sometimes I doubt that we can do it, but we just gotta keep trying until we find people that we so that we so that we're absolutely together. So I will say one thing. We have been talking a lot about the successes made in Rwanda. Rwanda went through a similar situation in Nigeria. They had a devastating war. A lot of people died. Rape was part of the background of the war. And they come out, I would use the word successful. Unfortunately, we want to know how Rwanda did it, and perhaps what lessons we can learn from the Rwanda success story. And hopefully we can talk a little more about that. So let's go back to um, Odell's mother, who's in Nigeria. I decided to life. In the in America. So that we could see what the program of the children is the whole kind of media that is established because we can bring other countries like Uganda, Kenya, Nigeria, which is very happy for the core responses. Because the internet has been so easy for us to be able to has been so people living in Liberia, and that's the way we can live in all the problems. You understand? Through these things. Okay. I have a question for you. Cynthia, I will put it in. Cynthia, Miss Cynthia,
Hello.
who is listening in Liberia, can we ask Cynthia, what is the status now of the case? Is it going to court? Has there, because there was an issue about a medical examiner, has the body been autopsied to your satisfaction? And what is the progress on that case?
And you have to come up with a
Solo?
question because it's very low. Hello?
Solo? Yes, Solo.
Solo.
She has the thing here.
Okay.
Okay, Cynthia, so we want to know. Okay, Solo.
Yeah, hello.
Yes, Solo, we are asking Cynthia a question. So maybe you can repeat the question for her, and then you can give her the mic so she can answer. But the question to Cynthia is, what is the status of the autopsy for Jill's body? The question of the examiner, is she satisfied with where the case is? In fact, a general idea of where the case is. If you can give us a quick idea of what's happening with that. If you can give her the microphone.
Yeah, hello. I can better hear you as well. So if you don't mind,
Yeah,
could
hold on
you
one
take
second.
your time? Okay, Mr. Kennable,
So,
you'll be the
so,
right
so,
person to.
yes, Solo.
Yes, very good.
No, Solo, give her headphone. Give her back the
Yeah,
headphone so she can.
Mr. Kennable, yeah, it is good that you ask a question because you are more audible than the lady.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
So I'm giving back.
The question Wilma asked. Okay.
Listen, wait, listen to the question, then you give it to
Okay,
them.
I think when you talk,
Yes,
we're going to hear you.
yes.
Mrs. Kimmel, are you there?
Yes, I'm there. I'm
Can you
getting
hear?
you.
Yes. Can you hear me, Mrs. Sherman?
Yes, I'm hearing you loudly.
Okay. Now Wilma asked a question. She said, what happened to the autopsy that was done? And if so, what was the result of the autopsy?
No, not yet. The autopsy has not yet been conducted. Her body still remains the same. Reason being, the manner and form which the government his, there have been no preliminary suspect reported. Even the person thinks which was murdered in and raped, he was also present at home, but he's just a person of interest. He has no link to her death. And they made some pronouncement earlier before even the doctors could come up with a medical report, which I got all here with me. Right now, I got about 3 medical reports that the hospital here that they have given us. And all 3 of these medical reports are all contradictory reports. They are not reports that you can even see anything that will give you any link that will have him. It's a very bad medical report that the ERW hospital was able to give us. Because the cause of death is here. The first cause of death after her death was that she was sexually assaulted after she died for sexual abuse, or she was thrown down from upstairs. That was the first cause of death. The second cause of death came because she bled from all of her openings. All of her opening, the anus, the vagina, the ear, the nose, she bled from all there. But then the hospital refused to give a report in depth. Give these 2 paragraph reports. So we were able to submit it to other human rights advocates in the diaspora. And then when they saw this report, they condemned the report for this death. So this is the 10 medical report that the hospital was able to give us. These are 2 reports. And in this report, they gave us results, including the X-ray result. They kept the X-ray result. And this report was given to the Liberia National Police that have been accused by the refused to do their job. They were protecting the perpetrators.
Sherman,
Protecting
let me just
us,
ask you
this
quick.
family. Yes.
Sherman, let me just ask you quickly. How long that body been over there at the hospital or in the morgue?
She was murdered on the 21st of May.
Mm-hmm.
On 23rd, she was talking at the St. Moses Palace, and she's still there. Please help me with the
Yeah,
photo.
so
Please help me with the photo.
what is the next step, Mrs. Chairman?
Okay.
What's the
Okay.
next step?
I see. The next step is that we ask government, because we are not certified with that preliminary investigation. With all what they did surrounding her death, there were no suspects. And even her phone that she received this call before she left her friends and went back in this fence that she was raped and murdered in, her SIM card was removed and the battery was removed on the crime scene. Now the phone is lying now at the Liberia National Police headquarters. They refuse to follow for her call law. Even before they could establish the investigation, they should have gone for the last call because she was posting, because it was right after her wives, when they wrote the wives of the 1 month, the last day when they went up for the celebration was when she received this call. By 11:15, she left her friends and went in this wearing compound. And that's where she got murdered and raped. She was filmed on the crime scene, no battery. Why the Liberia National Police could not go for the last call law? Why could they not? But they refused to do that. We wrote the Minister of Justice that we need our daughter call law because we want to know who was the last caller. The Liberia got call law. So what they did, they didn't even relate to us anymore. But until they brought two persons, said they were trained as a pathologist for Liberia to go and conduct a test on her. And I was only contacted on the 10th of June. That day that we were going to conduct the autopsy on her by the Liberia national government. And we said no, we could not allow that to go on because the government itself had not been fair to dispense justice unto us, even the deceased. So we refused. And then the spokesperson Moses Carter came out and said that we wrote the Minister of Justice that we are citizens, even the one that was, she was also a citizen for Liberia. So since we are citizens of death, we need the government should help us to get for independent pathology to go ahead. What did the government do? The government said they never have money for that. So if we need an independent pathology, we should get that person on our own. So we related to those women by the special grace of God. They open a GoFundMe, through which they raised almost $7,000, and they send an independent pathologist called were able to inform the government concerning his credentials, everything. But they never relate to us until he arrived in country. He arrived on the 29th of June. Now the government came out on Monday, which was a Thursday. They said no, they could not allow him to touch the body because he was not qualified. But the government pathology was, and we said no. That led all the protests because the Solicitor General of Serena Sifos, Councillor Serena Sifos said it was not the family that was bereaved, but it was the government that was bereaved. So whether the family agree or not, the government will go and conduct the autopsy. We said no. If you people will go at the Moses Palace and there will be no one that will touch your body. That's how we went there with a student from the university, Linsu, and from Musu and other places. We went at the Moses Palace. And then they could not touch the body. They didn't show up and up to present. So we had a protest 2 different times. It was when the president was able to call us on the 7th of July. And he said to us, since this is the case, he has also been following the case. So we should send for any other pathology and the government will be able to honor the cost. But pathology call or Dr. Raphael, and he submitted his CV. Since we submitted the CV to the Minister of Justice, they have refused to redress us. We have been going and going up to present. But yesterday and day before yesterday, I contacted the President's office in person of Minister Chokon And he said that we should give them from 9 to morning. And I told them, but the time had been too long. Because from the day we submitted the CV, if he was qualified or not, you should have told us. But nothing had been done. And she still lying down there. So honest. So we are still awaiting the independent pathologist to come, and he will be the one that will conduct the autopsy before the case can go to court. But this is the question. This is the question. I asked the police, where is your charge sheet that you are going to present in court? Where is it? Because this preliminary investigation, you should have been able to come up with a charge sheet and to give us what is the outcome of the preliminary investigation. But rather than that, nothing you guys have done. So how are we going to court? And Remy Guinness have been security to Ghana as we speak. He got security at his house because the community drawer themselves, when they saw Remy Guinness and his son Abraham Sumo out, the community drawer themselves, they protested him and also against the government. But what did the government do? They end up lying against the public to mislead the public. Moses Carter came out against said the ballot was not removed from Guinea compound by Guinea, but also by the consent of the family of Odell Shema, and that was false and misleading. I have the newspaper here with me. Somebody have to go in town, and then they saw this paper before they bought it, and they brought it to me before I able to have a press conference to address this. This was very much false and misleading. Moses Carter concluded the case even before the medical report. He said that the body was removed, or lifeless body was removed from the compound of Reverend Guinea with the consent of the family and the Liberia National Police, which of course that is false and misleading. And also he went on to say the police conducted a preliminary investigation and there was no foul play and there was no semen found in her room. So that is false. You can see this report that says that she was sexually assaulted. So this is the government that play with human being lives and citizen lives. Where you see this report, and he came up with this report. So a guy has not helped us to get this newspaper. We wouldn't have known what they have done. Probably just misled by their lives. So today is where we stand. All we need is justice. I know that Odia is good. I know that I won't see Odia again anymore. But what would I need for anyone who want to help me is justice. Justice will be the only thing that will bring down the pain that I'm bearing right now. That will be the only thing that will break me down. So what I need, I want people, women, even in Liberia, to guide us so that we can speak. Because today they are shaman. But to make it any other person, I have only one girl of my life. She's going for woundness. Woundness can be sexually violated like that and murder. And nothing for their beginning mother, my daughter, he has sent for us over and again to give us money. But what will that money do for me? Should I be the one to receive money on my daughter's death while her blood still crying? And I got a video that I saw blood gushing from my daughter Anna's all over. If I take part in such a thing, I'm not a murder to also like Reverend Guinea. I am a murder.
Your tone.
Nothing else will come on air. So that God will give me the courage and the strength to stand. So that I know it's not easy to dispense justice to the poor in Liberia. But I trust in God and God for all of I know that there will be justice that will be served. I'm begging you people, please, I'm on my bended knees. Please help me for justice. I'm begging you. I'm on my knees.
Solo, I think what did they happen to Solo? Solo? Solo?
Yes.
Women I would say women and men in Liberia
in the diaspora, in this room, in the United States, in that group are all lamenting Odell and all these girls and young men that are victims of rape in Liberia. We calling on the nation to come together and do something wherever you are. If you hear a man say, like I'm a 4-year-old thing, tell him you are a rapist. If you hear a man say a rape on the street, tell him he's a rapist and you have nothing to do with it. We have to do our little role, even if it's just to tell someone off. We have to play our role to stop rape in Liberia.
Well, I don't know what else we can do. Can you hear us?
Look at this.
Yeah,
This is
here we go.
Hello, can you hear
Hello?
us?
crazy.
Hello.
Yeah, Mr. Kenneth, I'm hearing you.
Yes. Go to the organizer of this event. Let you last one. Let after the last one we can go. No, that's it.
Go to the other parent.
Go to the organizer, the lady that organized this thing in Lrtn so we can talk to her quickly. No, we're not doing this. Yeah.
But she's an organizer. She's not a victim.
No, hold on one second. Hold on one second. Solo, are you there? Hello? Hello?
Solo?
Yeah. You are listening to Lrtn.
Because of the situation in Liberia, there is a whole lot of the mother have completely
flex. That'll be music. Level a level. Pound fake.
D12 on the beat.
Hold up, calm down. Hold up, calm down. Hold up, calm down. Hold up, calm down. Young and then play. Woman then play. Happy then play. Double then play. Hold up, calm down. Hold up, calm down. Say, life a turn by turn. Hold on to your blessing, cause Lord will bless you one day. Don't rush, cause you will crush. Don't go too far from your Lord. Younger than playing juju. Woman than playing juju. Papi than playing juju. Your mother than playing juju. Hold up, calm down. Hold up, calm down. Hold up, calm down. Hold up, calm down. Say blessing for yourself. Hold up, my brother, my sister.
Welcome you once again to Lrtn. Good afternoon. Those of you watching us from Liberia and those of you watching us in Europe, we want to thank you for tuning in. And on my immediate left is our next Liver Council International Class. Leading Gonko Way. Is where my bishop and the president is participating here today.
Hello, hello, hello. If you're outside, can you please make your way back in? Hello, if you're outside, can you please make your way back in? We're about to start. If you're outside, make your way back in and take a seat, please.
But their voices may be we want to increase those voices.
Mrs. Ware, thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're just joining us, this is Lrtn. Those of you watching in Europe, we want to thank you. Those of you watching in Liberia, the conference here continue. We'll go back to Joe, at which time Joe will rejoin us to continue the conference here. Thank you.
Okay, we are about to start. Like we initially indicated, we will be going to our panelists, and we will start from the far end and work our way. And just as a matter of rules, I will be serving as a parliamentarian with respect to time. And I will hope and pray that the panelists just respect the bells as they sound on the cell phone. At 3 minutes, start to summarize your thought, and at 2 minutes, be ready to pass the mic over. If the panelist is still talking and you next, and the 2 minute reach, you are allowed to pull the mic away from the person. No. So we're not allowing that in here. So, but we hope that the panelists will respect the time, and we will start on the far end and work our way through. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I will make sure to respect the time. Again, for those who came in after our initial introduction, my name is Dr. William Etta Simmons. I'm a psychologist. I have a private practice here in the States, and I also serve as an adjunct professor at a number of different universities. One of the issue that we've been discussing is such a critical one, and for the sake of time, I won't go over statistics. We will discuss those when we talk more dynamically amongst ourselves. But I do want to share a story. I said before when I did my introduction that a big part of me is medical mission. So I am one of the team leads for the Liberia Medical Mission. Every single year we go to Liberia and we spend millions of dollars teaching, training, treating individuals. Last year we took 52 people from every part of the United States and went to Liberia. But there's a story that stuck out to me, and this happened in our 2013 or 2015 mission. And we were at the hospital. I was working with some of the nurses, just talking to them about mental health issues and how to look for it, and what are some signs and what are some risk factors, and talking about the interrelationship between mental health issues and our physical health. And as we were having this discussion, there was a lot of chaos, a lot of commotion, and they brought in a young lady, and she was about 6 years old, and she was bleeding profusely. And I went into the room with the young lady and the nurses, and here they are trying to stop the bleeding, and I mean, she was pretty much ripped from end to end. And it was very devastating to me. And one of the things that struck me the most was that to the nurses and to the people in the hospital, that seemed to be the norm. It wasn't normal at all for me because I hadn't seen that before. It's one thing to deal with patients when they come into your office and talk to you about it. It's another thing to actually witness it happening immediately. And so here I am, I'm supposed to be the person talking to them about this issue, and I'm just pouring my eyes out crying. And so one of the nurses said to me, "Oh, but doc, you're supposed to be happy as you're sitting out here crying like that." So I said, you know, it would take someone that's inhumane to not feel this level of gut-wrenching disturbance. And so as I was sitting there holding the little girl's hand and I'm talking to her and the nurses are trying to stop her bleeding, her grandma came in. Her grandma sat next to the bed. She slapped her. She said, "What are you crying? What did you not do to us here? What kind of embarrassment you not bring to us in this place here? And I told you not to play in that man yard." She slapped me again. And I said, like, outside of here, and to me, you know, I also stand on the pulpit, so I had to make sure myself was correct. Because everything inside of me wanted to scream at the old man. But I had to be respectful, and I had to understand the cultural differences. But it was so painful to witness on a multi-layer skill how, number one, for the nurses, this was such a normal behavior that people weren't even moved anymore. That's problematic because we should never get to a place where it's normal to see little babies come in. And this little child was raped by a neighbor who was a 50-something-year-old man. Why? She was playing a yard. She looked appealing. There's nothing appealing about a 6-year-old unless there's something chronically wrong with your wiring. Okay? The second thing is to understand and witness how this child was already victimized and then she was re-victimized by the person that was supposed to protect her. And that's what is incredibly problematic. A lot of times the people that are supposed to protect children, women even, of these sexual encounters of rape, we'll call it what it is, they are the same people pointing fingers at them and blaming them. I really thoroughly enjoyed Ms. Edith, your presentation, because a lot of the points I was going to hit was in there, so it saved me a lot of time. But I loved it so much because it really looked at the heart of what do people think is going on, how they blame people for these kinds of situations, so forth and so on. Here's the disturbing part about this. When I spoke with the nurses, after all this was done, first of all, I pulled the grandma out, talked to her. She said, "Boy, I told her again not to play in the yard when she went to play in that man yard." That's what children do. They play in yards, okay? And even if a child is playing in your yard, it does not give you permission to take her and take complete advantage of her. Here's the even more disturbing part about all of that. This child is not going to be able to bring forth a child. Because as I described in the very beginning, I mean, to be ripped from one end to the other it's incredibly damaging to a woman's entire reproductive system. And then when I asked one of the nurses, I said, "What's the youngest kid you've ever treated that got abused by someone they knew or a stranger?" You know what she told me? A 4-month-old baby. My heart was ripped. I was completely undone. Because how can a person look at a 4-month-old baby and think this is a really great opportunity for me to penetrate this child? It's disturbing on every level. And it's wonderful to see all these people in here, but I'm disappointed in our community because I feel as though this place should be very packed with so many people. And I'll end by saying this. All of us have a say in the matter, and we can all do something. It shouldn't take an event like this for us to actually be in a position where we say, you know what, let's talk about it. When we leave here, talk about it amongst yourselves. I'm so glad to see so many men, because the men are also an important part of this discussion. So I'll just leave on that. I wanted to share that little story and why this.
Thank you, Dad. Again, reflection, I realized that it may have been that at least 2 of my sisters were raped. But culturally, as we all know, we don't talk about these things. But now that I'm an adult, looking back, reading the family dynamics as these events occurred, I know indeed their childhood was traumatic, and they live with it still this day. Be that as it may, the topic under discussion did not impact me as much as a little over a month ago, when I was at a forum in which I was opportune to have your dynamic president share her story openly, that she was raped as a child. In my entire life, I've never came across someone to openly discuss that. I would like for us to give them a hand. All the men who have been raped, we may be silent, we may not know. There are others who may be even in this audience, and you choose to be silent, we respect that. I come to this discussion with a graduate degree in education and a graduate degree in behavioral analysis. I'm a licensed behavioral analyst, and I'm also a licensed behavioral specialist and consultant. The issue of rape is pervasive. Like Zach has said, some of us are wired differently, for lack of a better term. It's beyond imagination as to how can, quote unquote, a normal human being inflict such irreparable harm to a 4-month-old. And again, it does not matter the age of the victim. Yes, it's gruesome to conjure up how can such thing happen to a 4-month-old. It's equally disturbing when you are 85 years old lady. A crime is a crime regardless. I bring a different take on it. And again, I go back to the fact that I've had siblings who have been victimized. We must take a holistic approach to discussing the topic, one voice to stop rape and violence against women. When you review the literature, a lot has been said and is being done in support of victims of rape. Albeit, the literature also suggests that we must take into consideration the perpetrators of these acts. And that brings me to my training. I come from a Jesuit university, or I studied at a Jesuit university, and we believe in restorative justice. Simply put, without due respect to you, my mothers, my sisters, when someone commits a crime, culturally, we want to inflict that much pain to the person as well. In other words, the Moses law is, if you take out my eyeball, I'm going to take out your eyeball too. An eye for an eye. Do we want to lose 2 eyeballs because of one crime? Or do we want to say one crime is enough, one eyeball is enough? Again, with all due respect to you, my sisters and mothers, what do we benefit? And I'm not saying committing a crime is right. Please hear me loud and clear. But what I'm suggesting is that as much as people do stray, people are wired differently, we can rewire them.
Yeah.
We have a process we call rehabilitation. These people can sometimes end up to regret that incident. Sometimes they may have been brought up the wrong way. Sometimes it's because of the parenting style they grew up in. Our sister, Madam Ware, illuminated a lot. Parenting style, following relationships, and a host of it. That suggests that society has a greater role to play in preventing. And so I want to end by drawing your attention to the fact that most of the crimes of rape are committed by men. Most, I didn't say all, because females also do commit rape. And so I would like to contribute with your support that we focus on boys and men. I give you an example of myself. I was in my 40s before I ever embraced my father in a hug. You know what that is in Liberia? How many men can say, my son, come here, let me give you a hug? Only those who've gone outside or live in America. Typically, they yell at you, come here, do this, do that. That's stereotype. The boy sees it and thinks that he has power over women. And so when a little girl is passing around and says, oh, this one is frisky, I will show her this. So we need to look at the young men, the boys, that we have or we are raising or in our community and engage them. We're talking prevention. We need to create structures in our community, either in churches or in schools, at the workplace, even on the market ground. We're talking about Liberia now. Even in the market association, they can create an office there whereby people can come and discuss these things. So again, I just want to end by echoing that let us begin to focus on young men, and men in particular, to discuss the impact of rape, how we can prevent it, and also create the mindset to not only want to pay these people an eye for an eye, they can be valuable assets in the society despite the harm they've done. Thank you.
Before the next speaker comes in, I just want to point out, with all due respect to the first two speakers, we deviating on the time frame. So I know there's a lot, but let's treat this thing like the food, you go there, you come back for a second. So just take a little bit, and then you're going to come back for a second, because when the questions and answer time come, you will be right back in. And then secondly, apparently the chicken was so good, someone forget that key right by the chicken. So whoever key it is, just remember it's right down here. You will remember when you get to your car, it can start. So, we will go to the next speaker.
Yeah, I'm a little bit terrified. The timekeeper is so straight, As a broadcaster, when we see the microphone, we don't want to stop talking. Once again, my name is Moses Sandy. I'm a career broadcaster and also a career social worker. So I come to this discussion with a worth of experience, especially as a social worker, because these are issues that I see on a consistent basis in my work, in this country. The issue of rape is not unique to Liberia. It is a profound problem in the United States. Just yesterday, I was talking to somebody, and I saw, about her history, and she just went, her entire siblings raped by her biological father. And this woman started tearing up. You know, so this is also common here. It's a huge problem. Now, when you hear rape, what does it mean? I'm talking about unlawful sexual activity, intercourse. If somebody tells you no, and you go beyond that, that's rape. It is common in marriages. Married men rape married women. If your wife tells you no, she means no. Kids living with you under the age of 18, you know, or over or whatever, when you touch them, that's rape. In Liberia, we have what we call statutory rape. It means that any sexual interaction between an adult and a minor below the age of 18 is statutory rape, legally. Anyone under the age of 18 cannot give consent. So if you go and have sexual interaction with a person, that's rape. It is common in our homes, especially in Liberia. It is so common. People who know us, you know, come to visit you, stay with you in your house, they begin to rape your kids. I'm so overprotective. Given what I do for a living, I have told my wife, look, my kids will never spend a day out of my house with any relative. I don't care what that person is. Because the one they call uncle is the one that we begin to, you know, take advantage of them. So, like my brother was saying, rape is not only a problem of men. We also have women who rape men. Women who are successful, they rape young boys in Liberia. You know, 18 years old, buy you little stuff, and they take advantage of it. And we also have the problem with what? Our brothers raping young men, sodomy. That's another huge problem that we have in Liberia today. So we have a significant challenge. That's why collective support in making sure that this problem is contained to some level is very important. Over the years, what have we been able to do in Liberia as a country in dealing with issues of rape? In 1986, the revised constitution, Liberians agreed that rape will be a non-bailable offense, meaning that if you commit a rape and it is proven, you'll be thrown into prison. It's not something that you go and someone can sign for you and you can leave and go home. When Salif administration came to power, she supported that significantly. They set up specialized courts to fight rape cases. And what happened? We witnessed a significant increase in the arrest of individuals accused of rape and thrown into prison. But given the kind of criminal justice system which we have in Liberia, and the time it was taken to prosecute these people,
the second BB.
Okay, good. So it became a serious problem. So to summarize it, I told you on the friend. To summarize it quickly, let me just say that progress has been made, but the challenges are there. The culture of impunity. You know, people are not being punished for what they do, and you know, poverty. You know, because I'm a man of authority. Tell me if I went to Liberia today and went out to a 16-year-old, and mom shows up, and I said, look, let me talk to the dad. Dad comes and said, look, man, look, here's $500. Where do you think our kids will go? The people are poor. So people take advantage. When you have a status you are not above the law in Liberia. So these are all the challenges we have. Thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah. You know, I know the panelists are all Liberians, and we have the typical Liberian when you go to the market and buy one cup already out for jazz. And they keep taking jazz, you know. I hope we can lead a jazz small.
Oh gosh, this event has really opened hearts, opened people's hearts and taken you on an emotional journey. And I want to say that the Liberian people have not been de-traumatized since the war ended. Not saying that there wasn't rape in families before the war, certainly not on this scale. You had incidents, and I know some family people here and there who we knew the father raped all the daughters, and the mother had to take the younger daughters to live, and even had the younger daughter adopted by other people, even though they were people of means. She made her daughter get adopted to get out of the father's way. There was no prosecution and all that. This is normative. So that happened. After the war, it's become worse. Okay, we know that. For me, until we take the Rwandan style, for example, in Rwanda today, Rwanda is the only country in the world that more than 50% of the legislators are women. 64%. Right now it's 64%. And it didn't just happen. The president of Rwanda, we got negative things to say about him here in the US because he made himself president for life. Outside of that, he has really gone out to educate women on how to campaign. He teaches women how to, when he sees a problem, he goes to the women in the community, asks them, what do you think the solution is? And when the women gave it to him, he trained them to go and implement those solutions. We need to take those kinds of measures. Also, where is the heart? Liberia has become a cesspool. What's the heart of love? There's churches all over the place. There are mosques all over the place. Every day people go into church. Where is the love, the spiritual fabric of the society is eroded, is rotten. So that's where we need to start. We need to start with people, human beings in the family, the children in school. We have to educate them. So my thing is, as a media professional, my thing is that we need to use these tools to teach the society. We have to use media to give a broad psychological healing to the entire society. We need to make videos, social media sites where people can come and talk about their experiences, maybe share what can be done. We need to do billboards around the country. We need to, because I was told, I called someone in Liberia, I said, what is this, all this rape going on? They said, well, no rape here. I never heard it on the radio. Oh, there was just one incident last month. And they took it, they told me that it's a myth. How do we get the society to understand and experience what we are experiencing here? So I think that we need to make an effort to put this
out in the Liberian society. Let people see and get women and those men that are interested to start, continue, and work hard. Thank you.
I need a very big hand clap because she left 21 minutes in the thing. That's very cool. That's good.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Massa Washington. I'm a Liberian journalist of many years. I'm also a women's rights advocate, social justice advocate for many years. I work as a journalist in Liberia. That's my profession. But in the United States, I work as a social worker and I'm a program director at NIJA. I also served on the Truth and Reconciliation Commission of Liberia. Was very active, and I also headed the Women's Project. And the first thing I want to say is that first I want to apologize for being late for the first panel. I had an emergency overnight transportation issue that just spiraled out of control. So having said that, I would like to find out from the moderator to have my 3 minutes from the previous panel. Was this 3 minutes?
That's a good question. However, whatever happened then has happened, so we'll just keep it moving.
Okay, no problem. Well, as an advocate, we
you're absolutely right.
We should always question more. Question more, always question more. Okay. So, first thing I want to say is that I have been following everything in Liberia and the issue of the rapes and stuff and Hotel Sherman's mother. And I've been watching her videos and everything, and she's a phenomenal woman. She's strong, she's tough. I really got a lot of respect for her. And what we saw here in the videos, you could see the emotions, the reaction. When I worked on the TRC, and we did extensive work with women in all of the 15 countries of Liberia, in the diaspora, the United States, and also the sub-region, Ghana, Nigeria, Sierra Leone, and other places. What we realized was that, especially during the Civil War, women were used as weapons of war, and their bodies were the battleground, as you can see from this video today from the mother of Odell. And if you're following all the other rape issues that are coming out of Liberia, all the young girls, and even some of the young boys, the interesting thing is the issue with young boys being raped is not really being talked about. Okay? And so you can see how, our bodies are used as instruments of war, and of course, it's the battlefield. One thing I would like to establish is probably everybody else has spoken about it. I came when Edith was almost on her presentation, fantastic presentation, my girlfriend. And so she probably, and maybe other people touched on it already, so I would just like to buttress that violence against women didn't start today, it didn't start during the war, it didn't start now. It's been going on forever and ever. It is as old as our nation, or probably as mankind.
The next 2 minute rapid coming up.
Okay. And but the world has come a long way in trying to address violence against women. And most of the time when we talk about violence against women, we focus a lot on sexual gender-based violence against women. It's because it's like it's power out of control. It destroys the woman completely. It destroys her family. It destroys the society. And in 1975 to 1985, the United Nations declared that decade as a decade of the woman. So, and it continues. Women issues have taken front row, of discussions everywhere, and there has been a lot that's been done to address women issues. So women do have a voice. We always say women don't have a voice. Women have a voice, but what we need to do is we need to come together, hold together, and be stronger so our voices can be very loud to address this issue. To address this issue. So we passed a stage where we didn't have a voice. We got a voice now. We need to use it. We need to use it. We need to come together collectively, be strong, and be very vocal and make noise so that our voice is heard collectively. On the TRC, we engaged a lot of women. We had more than 10,000 women who, gave statements. Actually, 10,000 women gave statements, and we had like 700 and something engagement with women all over the place. What we realized is that the violations that women suffer across the board were so, mind-boggling. It was shocking. All sorts of things happened to women. They were violated in front of their husbands, in front of their children. Their sons were made to go with them in front of the family to debase the husband and destroy his manhood. And I got my 1 minute. I got almost 1 minute. Yeah. So, but what I want to say also is that I wish I had more time. What I want to say also is that the culture, the entrenched culture of impunity, in this our Liberian way of life. Honestly, I so hate it sometimes. I say to myself, I don't think I'm a real Liberian person. I'm like, yeah, because sometimes I'm like, what? I don't like this Liberian way of life. What is the Liberian way of life? Doing the wrong thing. Either it's wrong, you do the wrong thing, or you do the right thing, and you cannot hide behind wanting to do the wrong thing. Oh no, it's a Liberian way of life. Okay, so this our way where impunity. You don't want to address the issue. Okay, when women think that, like when we did engagement with women in West Point, one of my statement takers came to me and said, "Oh, there's a woman, her husband raped her daughter, and we're trying to talk to them, and because we had social support, and the woman were actually cussing them out of her place. So I said, you're taking me there, and we went there and trying to talk to the woman, and she's like, so what now? So what? And she woman, and she will do it anyway. So if her pa do it for her, so what? If her pa do it for her, and the same thing, and a man and a woman, and she will still do it. So the education, we need to educate our people. We need to educate our women. And every time that thing really makes me nervous. So actually, we need to address the issue of impunity, and I want to diverse from my brother, Lrtn, Mr. Yedu. We got the different kinds of justice, restorative justice, accountability, war crime school, and all of that. I've played with that process for so long, and there's nothing absolutely wrong with accountability. There's nothing wrong. You can forgive a person for perpetrating crime and evil against you, but you know what? Please let the law take its course. Because we must be a society of the rule of law. We must be a society of the rule of law. We must allow our laws to be practiced, no matter how weak we think they are, because you know what? We'll get better with time. Okay? We'll get better with time. We cannot be sentimental and emotional. Yes, you know what? We are all the same people. When President George Weah made a comment the other day when they asked him about war crime school, and he said, well, Liberians are moving on, the country is too small, we are all interrelated. I wrote him a personal letter. I wrote him, and then I published a letter on Facebook. Okay? And I took issue with him. I told him, I said, yes, we are all interrelated. This is why we shouldn't be hurting each other, Mr. President. I'm asking you to please agree for the war crime school for Liberia. Okay, so we need to address the culture of impunity. We need to make sure that there's accountability, because it will not only will it serve to deter in some cases, but what it does is that it restores people's lost dignity. Yes. That's what it does. Like all these women who are being raped, you see Oja's mother, she's crying for justice. That's the only thing, according to her, the way she feels. She's not going to get her daughter back, but at least she will have faith in the society again. She can start to believe in Liberia again. So we must always never relent to push for justice.
This is a tough job today. Boom. It's an interesting topic, and I know the panelists want to make their point, but a friend told me about a story where a guy came from Liberia and they took him to the buffet, and they made it very clear you can count for second, and he took a whole big plate of food. And by the time he got to a chair, the whole plate broke and all the food wasted. So the woman asked him, said, did you hear us say you can count for second? So there will be seconds. So, and I'm not afraid, because the microphone is in the hands of the Reverend. So this is going to be a tough one. Go ahead, Ravi.
Thank you very much, Mr. Moderator. Thank all of you for coming. I'm grateful to be sharing this platform with these iconic Liberians. And certainly, once again, for those who aren't here, I'm the pastor of Agape International Outreach Ministries, headquartered in Liberia, founded by the Reverend Mother Edith Briggs, who's also in our audience there. And we also have an organization called the Coalition of Women Against Abuse, established in 2008. We have currently on the ground 3 safe houses, one in Robertsville, one is in, is that White Plains? White Plains, whatever it is, White Plains, Duper Road, and what's the third one? Congo Town. All right, so we take young women off the streets, we put them in safe houses, we educate them, take care of the medical issues, but above all, give them Jesus. Amen. Right? So this is what we're doing on the ground. So in talking about solutions to our problem, we all understand what the data is regarding the victimization of our girls in Liberia. I'd just like to suggest the following solutions. There has to be an identification of shared interest. People who have interest in this process. I'd like to suggest that we come up with a database of like-minded organizations so that our voices are, quite frankly, resounding. I want us to get very comfortable with diversity. We may not all have the same name, but the vision is what matters. Okay? So let us collaborate on that level. Now, from the pastor's perspective, I think also our messages need to be tailored to the sense of spiritual consciousness, to women understanding who they are, to men understanding why it is important to not contradict your values as a Christian. Now, Liberia is a founding signatory or member to the Office of Human Rights. So this is a human rights issue. Absolutely. It's not a gender-based issue. It's not a woman's issue, it's not a man's issue. It is an issue that every man or woman must champion with one voice to make the difference. Yes. Having said that, the culture of impunity is a reality. It is important to get comfortable with shaming the perpetrator and not just the victim, because that's what we do sometimes. It is important to understand that cases must not be settled out of court, because that's what we do. That's what we do. You know, we look at our relationships in the community. You know, that's my father's friend, so therefore that's my father's son, and I cannot. So let's talk it the family way. Justice doesn't correct immorality. It brings the consciousness of morality to the forefront, and therefore people become afraid to do what's wrong for the fear of consequence. Now that's healthy fear. Psychologically, that's healthy fear. So I just like to conclude on this. This must not be the last seminar or conference on this effort. We have to do as much as we can on the practical level as well. The United Nations did a study in Liberia in October of 2014 and 16, no, 15 and 16 of October, and they sent out this report. And they mentioned all of these hindrances. During the war, there were 803 cases. 803 cases. 2% of those cases were resolved in court. Just 2%. The rape victims were 18 and under, to include 5-year-olds. So the facts are clear. What do we as Liberians do? That we have to mount a political effort. The international community respects numbers. When you march and your numbers in the streets are real, it raises concerns for the government. So we have to mobilize in that effort. I know there are women who have done that, but we have to do something, not just in the diaspora, but have that effort on the ground where they can see the respect numbers. The UN also have this committee on the elimination of discrimination against women. And they've asked all of us to do the best we can to become one partner in this effort. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Let us give a big round of applause to our distinguished panelists. Now we about to get to a more tougher section because now I have to wrestle with the audience sticking to questions as opposed to laying a premise before you ask a question. This is not New Year Eve service when you come to get testimony, you gotta sing, then you get a testimony, then you sing again, then you get, no, please. Just ask a question, and to my distinguished panelists, we have 1 minute for answer. 30 seconds is better, that's good. And secondly, there's no award to anybody on the panelist table yet, so spread the questions around. The person who answers as many questions not going to get any prize today, so let us not go there. But if you are on the table and you think there's something you want to make a point on, let me know, but please keep it short, sweet. Bill Clinton said it's kids, keep it simple. I'm not going to say that other letter, but then just remember kids. So please, so we're going to have this, we want to make this interactive conversation as opposed to the panelists just throwing issues out there. Remember, we had the first speaker, she's also here, she's going to be taking questions also within this round. So I will just step back a little bit and then have the first person. Yeah, before the walk from there, it's just like, you know, when you go to the funeral, and you say, all the people from Grand Gila County, y'all come up. Then there are 2 minutes already gone before they can even come up. So I will check them back to them. Oh, you can turn it around? Okay, jeez. So we'll come that way. That's good, no problem. So remember, you're on live. So if you're afraid of the camera, no luck today. So we'll ask our sister to come up with the first question. Thank you so much.
Hello, everyone. My name is Felicia Lesson. My middle name is Felicia. I'm from the Paul family, niece of Steve, the late Steve Paul. I don't have a question because everything that's going on here, the answers is already here because I'm one of the victims. And the answer is the government. And that's it. And secondly is how to protect our children. And my own daughter, the little girl that I adopted, and my own biological one, the first child I have, they are also a victim of rape. So it's to protect our children. All I want to say to you guys is thank you. I want to say thank you. It's my first time since Ide. Thank you for bringing me here. That I can stay here for my fellow Liberians, my sisters and brothers, fathers and brothers, to hear my voice that I was one of them. And who got me to that is my own biological sister, older sister, that got me to that through the rape. And what happened? Mother did not believe me, but mother believed her. Wherever she said from there, that was it. And when my daughter got raped in Africa with a refugee, before she told me she was already ill. And when she sent me to those people, I beat the hair out of that guy. Seriously. I'm on life, I'm telling the truth. Because my pain was already there. And you took it on my daughter. I beat him until I took the rat that I wanted to bust his bed. That I went to my daughter. This is how we should protect our children. The sister will not come, then you not believe, you believe the sister and you not believe the child that went through that. Until today, I have only one single child in my life. And when my daughter got missing in the war, the woman that took her, the woman used her as a slave in her life. Every day I cry. Women of Liberia, not only Liberia alone, they're going to Sierra Leone, they're going to Guinea, they're going to Africa, because I was in Guinea, I saw a lot of things that went on. Women, we need to rise up. for our children. Children that we bear pain for. Children that we carry in our belly for 9 months. We are still waiting for the Father to say yes before we say yes. Why can't we tie that lapa and rise up for our children? With you people, my name is Blessing again. My middle name is Felicia. You want to call me the Guinea, call me Diamond. I'm from Babli District. I'm the National Vice President of Babli Organization. So call me, I'm with y'all. You want to send me to Grand Cayman County? There I have my NGO. I'm doing farming there. We call it Voice of Women. A lot of things going on in Cayman because of the, they are still with this Muslim thing. I know a lot of things are going on there. If I can be one of the help, I will go all the way in the bush where my farm is to make it different. If you give me the opportunity and you will hear the voice of the women, I thank you.
Thank you. People in Liberia, just recently one of the leaders said, was speaking and said people don't know how he stayed fresh. He got his fresh 24-year-old thing. Such a comment could be misinterpreted by a lot of people. We as men, we sit in discussions and other men say, man, I know I'm an honor 12 captain. I like that young thing. I'll eat that young thing. And we said nothing to that. So one question I want to throw out here is say no one is an innocent bystander. We all play a role. How can each one of you on this panel play a role to bring awareness or support organizations such as this organization or other women organizations? We will start on the far end with Honorable Gondo, Aware, and then work our way. Please, 30 seconds, please.
I think Reverend Ali said that so well. There is a need to increase our numbers. Collaboration, like I said earlier, is the way to go. People believe in numbers, not just the international community, even the government. People's power cannot be overlooked. What we need to do is to increase the volume of our awareness and increase the volume of inclusion. So this goes to my sister Minnie. Okay. But this thing brings the professor.
That's the whole essence of it. That's the essence of it. So Emi is working. Yeah, he's accomplishing his purpose.
So knock you off your feet.
For me personally, I'm already doing what needs to be done, and I think 3 categories: teaching, education, and awareness. I teach both here and go back home every year to teach mental health professionals about this stuff. Awareness, both radio and television, talking about it. There was a horrible case when they did the More Than Me, and one of the young ladies, they asked her, did this man ever, molest you? And she said, oh no, he didn't molest me, he just touched me small down there. Awareness. That's all I would say. Awareness, we all have a responsibility on that, okay?
So we'll finish 30 seconds to be fair. But then we'll have to go back to the first speaker, okay? So
I don't even know what I can make in 30 seconds. But here is it though, it's difficult being a man in Liberia. And when I say a man, to grow in the society that we come from and to uphold your integrity. And so, yes, again, boys are being blamed, men are being blamed. But again, we have to take a holistic view. I give myself an example. I taught as an economics teacher. There was a mother who brought her child to me after the child failed my class. Now my son, anything you can do it, just let my daughter pass. So it's cultural, it's deep. I know I would sound like I supported the men, but we gotta look at it from all sides. All sides. When I say restorative justice, I don't mean that when you commit a crime, you get away with it. No. But while that person is behind bars, we can be talking to that person. Because that person will not be in jail for the rest of their life. The judge is determined 30 years. When God helps that person after 30 years, when they come back, we have not taught them to reintegrate into the society and live as responsible men. That man will come back and go commit that same crime, or even more. So let's focus on that. Thank you.
This is what we want to do. We're going to be fair, we'll finish the 30 seconds, and then the second round, in the offenders to the first two speakers or the first three, we'll take it to 2 minutes at least so people can give out their thought process a little bit. But we all got to be cognizant of the time and forget about the dots. So go ahead with your 30 seconds.
Yeah, my 30 seconds, what I will propose is that mandated reporting. One of the challenges we have in Liberia in addressing issues of rape is that it is only the victim who reports. So if the victim doesn't report, or the family doesn't report, the person goes to the hospital. The incident is not reported. No, we are not mandated reporters. So I think the advocates of rape victims in Liberia, we should begin to work towards the passage of a law that will make mandatory reporting a requirement for teachers, social workers, medical doctors. Once you notice a sign, report it. That is sort of a system that someone can call in anonymously and say, look, I saw this, I have this concern. Someone from the community, if you notice anyone, let it be a requirement.
Say well.
He knows that. You are doing past the 30 seconds. He knows that they always do well.
Well, really, I got a message for the Liberian people. We need to take God seriously. We're not serious. We talk God. We don't do God. We don't act like people who believe in God. I mean, you can say you go to church every day, but if you will be the same person who will cover up for your husband raping your daughter, or cover up for all these bad things that are going on in society, that means you're not taking God seriously. You. We call ourselves God-fearing people. But we are suffering for it today. The country is a cesspool because we are not really walking the walk. We're talking the talk. We know how to talk about God. Every day we go into church. We need to do it. So that's how I feel about it. Amen. I know I can do more in terms of the media side of it, but it's nothing for me to come and discuss here. Let me go think about it. But let's be more spiritual in our lives, in the way we deal with each other. You can't be crooked and try to jip your friend and send the children to take the neighbor chicken and all those kind of things and think that God will bless us. We are suffering because each of us, well, I say we are talking about the country. Each person in Liberia is not taking the responsibility of really believing that there is a God that's looking at you and you're accountable for, and you will be year and year after.
No, way past the time.
Oh, you forgot.
No, let's go ahead. Let's speak on
We all other speakers before me on the panel and the audience and the guest presenter talked extensively about education, and we can't overemphasize education. Like the example I gave you of the mother who thought that it's okay for her daughters father to rape the daughter because you know why, she's a woman and you know she's going to do it anyway. And I saw the statistics 3 weeks ago, and out of 4.6 million, that's the population of Liberia right now, 4.6 million is around there. Out of that population, they are saying, and I want to do research on this a little bit further, they are saying that only 200,000 girls have completed high school right now. It's from one NGO, so I want to dig into that further. But what it says is that it scared me when I read it. I'm like, oh my God. Oh, so the girls are not going to school at all? That was the fear that struck me. So what we need to do is we need to continue doing what we're doing, but like Reverend Alice said, let's consolidate more, because when we come together, we're stronger and we can do greater things. And we need to continue raising the consciousness of women in Liberia, you know, all ages. We need to offer the women of Liberia a very strong explanation for how we would bring about the end of violence against women and why it is important for us to do so. Because somewhere there in between, you know, when you have these kinds of forums and you're working with women, they don't seem hopeful because they feel that nothing will be done at the end of the day. We must provide them, help motivate them, and help provide them that hope. We must leave them with something, we must leave them with something to fight for, you know, because we can do all the beautiful work. But if the women are not hopeful, it's just a waste of resources, a waste of time. We must be able to help them visualize the possibilities and the hope for they and their daughters for the future. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So in the Bible, in Genesis 34, rape occurred. Judges 19, justice was served.
Yes.
Exodus 22, we see rape happening there. But in Matthew 14, Jesus fed the 5,000. Right? So what am I saying? Psychoeducation is great, awareness is great, but there are some practical measures we must take as a people. The United Nations only have one safe house in Monrovia for rape victims. Our organization would like to propose, in addition to what we have as safe houses in Monrovia, that it can be a practical move. Visual is powerful. The more safe houses we invest in to identify these victims, the more we are able to attract the international or national stakeholders to be part of this effort to addressing this issue, socio or political and or legal, for the right direction for all Liberians. Thank you.
Thank you. We're going to step it up to 2 minutes. However, the alarm will keep going off until you stop, because people will stay taking dots, which is good. But this is a very, very touching issue, and we can spend the rest of this year. It'll be a lot to talk about concerning this issue. So let's try to break it in and have it concise. Question, 1 second, Banapane, let's get a question from the audience, and then I'll get to you. Yes. I was about.
Hello everybody, again, my name is Grace Moore, and I will make a statement before I ask my question. I personally feel that our next generation of women in Liberia are under attack. And I feel that the men are not stepping up to talk about this thing more. I want to challenge the men of Liberia to stand with us, and together we can stop, at least minimize what is going on in our country. So for me, I look at the healing process. My mother was raped at the age of 13. She had a child, and it took, my mom could not really identify her own child because she was raped. She went to sell bread. After selling bread, 13 years ago, went to go play with her friends in the house, and a 30-something-year-old brother raped her. And it trickled down to us as children. And my brother that was a rape child is way older than me. I'm the last. So, but I felt my mom had that child way before she had me, but when she had me, I felt the effect of what had happened to her in the past. Because I was not allowed to go and spend time with my friends. I couldn't go spend time, I couldn't play outside in peace. Every time she would watch, oh Grace, come here, come inside. She didn't want anybody to, touch me like that, but she went through. And it started to, and I'm suffering the same thing now with my kids. So I'm just telling you how rape goes down into the family. I've never been raped before, but I'm afraid for my children. I have 3 children. My 14-year-old son tells people my mom got separation anxiety because because of what my mom did to me, because she was raped. Now I'm doing it to my kids. So how do we heal from this? How do we heal from it? I know sometimes, like everyone was saying, I pray a lot. I read my Bible, and I pray about it for me to, be able to free myself when it comes to protecting my children from, being raped or something. But how do we heal? I know it's not, we can't heal totally because it will always be there. But how can we try to help the victim to heal, and be in peace with themselves moving forward after they suffer this traumatic thing in their life? Thank you.
Yep, 1 second. So let's do this. That's one question. If the panelists can hold that question, we'll take 3 and then we can do it in a rapid format. So you hold that question, and then we'll have 2 more come up, and then we'll go through the table. Yeah. Well, he was ahead of me. Yeah, go ahead.
Good afternoon, everybody. Mine is much of a comment in terms of our cultural practices as it relates to our customary laws. In Liberia, we have 2 forms of law. We have statutory and customary law. And the thing I want us to address, we are more now concerned about rape, sexual aspect in terms of victimizing women, but there is a cultural aspect, and this is what most people don't like to talk about. Women are also victimized when it comes to female genital mutilation. Are we concerned about that? Are we concerned about the long-standing scar it has created on some women? And some girls have died from that in the process of doing those unsanitized practices as a result of that cultural practice. Are we also concerned about that? Because those are all acts of victims against other women of other cultures. Let us not be so preoccupied with, and don't get me wrong, it is also bad. But it is also, let that be an act of consent. A girl who is 3-year-old, 5-year-old, some uncle of hers take her and carry her to some cultural activity, and that harm is done to her. Are we also concerned about that? Because it comes with that lady's biological and other sexual gratification concerns. And that also has led to prostitution. Maybe people may not know about that. So in our advocacy, I would like that cultural law or customary law be changed. Let it be one of consent. If the woman reaches the age of consent and she wants to go through that, that's fine. But that act of coercion by the parents or the guardians to go and abuse the authority placed into them to get that child go through that gruesome practice is also bad. And I want us to address it. Thank you.
So the panel has 2 issues, so you don't have to address all 3. You can pick one as the process go on and address it to have enough of your time.
Yeah.
Question.
Hi, everybody. As you can see, I worked so hard for this program. I'm from Arthur Hubbard. I spoke to some of you guys, and the day before my birthday, the devil decided to do what he loves to do, but I'm here. Before I go any further, it's just a little story I want to just give you that my husband passed to me, just to add up to what Roman said. There was this organist who was also the director of the choir. He was also a DJ in the nightclub. Is that complicated enough? He takes a parrot with him wherever he goes. So Sunday morning, first thing in the morning, 7:15, he and the parent, the choir rehearses every Sunday. So they went to the club this Saturday night, and they overslept Sunday morning. So they got to church, and he told the parrot, keep me in. The parrot started singing, Sinamakosa. I said, no. No. The parrot said, but, wrong. On Christ the Sunday rock, I said, you said, well, the same people I see here, and the same people I saw, oh, they're singing Sinamakosa. So, well, let's just go. Okay? We play church a lot. We play church. And let me tell you, each of us are guilty of that. There's nobody here who can say, oh, I didn't. Yeah. Today, some of us can say, yes, we know the Lord, and we're trying to do our best. And our best is now. We are going through all of these sins. If you look at the 7 sins, all has come to Liberia. Only because individually, collectively, we've all sinned. And some of us think the blaming game is it. We're going to blame this person, we're going to blame that person. We need to plunge ourselves first. Ask for your forgiveness, and then point your finger back at me. But remember, when you're pointing it to me, how many coming back? So let's stop playing church. If we will pray, we pray. If we're going to go to church and then go to the devil, let's go to the devil. But you cannot be on 2 sides of the boat. Okay, a lot of talk went on about education. As most people will know, some of my students are in the audience. That has been me for practically all my life. I started off, my dad was a judge, so he wanted me to become a lawyer. Okay, went to Liberia College. That's not what I wanted to do. My mother was a businesswoman. Okay, go do management and public administration. That's not what I wanted to do. All along, they told me from 3 years old, I will collect all the children, so only when bring them in the house, and then suffer for dead in the raw. But I wanted to teach. And I came to the States, and I taught in Liberia from my college days. And I got here, and something very particular happened. I started off working in a school system. And then all of a sudden, don't get me wrong, special education was taught at LU, but it was just a general thing telling us about special education. Other than that, my man, you too dumb, man. The same place we told yesterday, you take it again today, you feeling, not knowing mentally there was something wrong. So I'm like, When I told my friends I was going back to school, you won't elect to my book business? I said, no. I said, this one, I need to get to the root. Some go, oh, you already got degrees, you can do that thing online. No, I need a foundation. Not until I enter the classroom and understood mental retardation is a serious problem. And this is our key problem in Liberia. Until we can address it. Until we can rather send out professionals that will educate our people to understand that there's nothing called dull. Your learning style may be different from my learning style. I may be the one who, yes, I did call some of my students dull, because when I teach you, my mentality is get it. There are some people you say it once, and that's it. And there's some people you gotta go bam, 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 bam until you yourself turn crazy. But this is it. Now let's come back to educating our women. When I was in the classroom, Brother Josiah, I can relate to your story. There were times when parents, male parents, would come to me, oh, you know, he's in my class. What can you do? You know, I work for so and so. So, I'm just here to say whatever we can do when it comes to educating our women. I don't have a question per se, because everything here has been said. We all can get together and do it without any jealousy. Let me relate to your organization relate to me. That's another problem we have as Liberians. So let us try our best to work for a cause and not because of this person and that person. Let's put our hands together and work on this cause. This is a serious cause. Thank you very much.
So, for the question, how can each one of you use your influence and platforms to bring hope to those who want to believe that a new path and better life is possible? Okay, then we scratch that. So thank you. You see, that's why I let the men up on the table. So we will go at the end of the table and work our way. We have to be out of here. We have to start this section at 2:30, and then have the president come in and make a comment. Of about 2:45, we should be out the door and out of this section. So please let us try to be brief and hit the point, hit the question. 2
What
minutes.
was the question again?
Oh, but there are a couple of questions.
How do we heal?
Oh, how do we heal?
Yes.
Okay, so I will lead the healing process. First, let me say this. One thing we've overlooked in this discussion, all of what is happening takes political action. We like to look at the success of Rwanda and other places, but it didn't just happen. The women realized, along with the leader, that it was time to stand up. It was time to take action. My question to all of us, panelists and the audience, if we are really prepared and we are angry enough and we are hurt enough, we have the answer right in our hands. We can take serious political action. Because people say, why it has to be government? Unless there's a political will, nothing can happen. The government is charged with the responsibility of protecting the citizens of our country. That includes all of our young kids who cannot defend themselves. But if you have a government that is dominated by men, I'm sorry, majority of whom are perpetrators themselves. Yes. And we think that we're going to just talk, we can have all the safe houses. It shows one thing. The perpetrators know that we can abuse and we will go somewhere. We need radical action. We can close down all the safe houses because we don't want our kids going to safe houses. We want them protected so they don't go to safe houses. So we need to rise up. When the election is coming, I told you people here that I'm running. And I use this platform, I use this occasion to say some of the reasons why all along, for 8 years, I have not given up. Because in my mind, I know what is happening in our country is not right. Something must be done. I look up to you. If you think that it is not right and something must be done, start with me. They say a journey of 1,000 miles begins with the first step. We need to hold people accountable. Yes. But we need to put the right people in the right position so that we can hold them accountable. Yes, yes, yes. So I've been an advocate all my adult life. I still am. What stops you from putting your hands around me and others like me? We talk about putting people in positions, but who put them there? We put them there. It's like we put, we are the goats, and we put lepers in charge and say, please take care of me. What do you think the leper is going to do? Have a real nice feast. And they're feasting with us. And so, to answer the question of the healing process, how can people heal when every time you look around, you see your abusers walking scot-free? How can you heal? That's why people have not healed from the war in Liberia. Because those who abused us, those who killed us, Those who made us homeless and made us fatherless and motherless are the ones in charge of us today. How can you heal?
Yes.
So the healing process begins with punity. It begins with enforcement of the law. And enforcement of the law rests in the hands of the political power. Are we on the table? We are not on the discussion table. Let's get people on the discussion table so that the healing process will take place. Because people cannot heal if they're not heard and if punishment does not take place. Look at Odell's mother. How can she ever have an end? Her daughter's body is still in the morgue. Because those who did the act are still walking around. That woman, how can she heal? What can we tell her to heal? Maybe my daughter here, this psychologist, will be able to give us an answer whether there can be healing without an end to a situation. Thank you.
That was just, thank you so much. That was just beautifully done. I will follow up on that particular issue of how we can heal. I'll say this. Rape is a traumatic experience, and trauma lives in our bodies. It lives in our minds, it lives in our souls. You carry it wherever you go. And someone was up there earlier and they just were saying about the transgenerational, intergenerational impact of rape. We see it all the time. So how can we heal? I'll just reiterate my comments from previously. People have to be made aware that this is in fact an issue, and they need to know what it looks like, what it is, and we have to be able to really hit this issue of rape on a multi-systemic level. And one of them, a huge component that we don't talk about as much, is what you just addressed, which is there has to be policy changes. In order for our voices to be heard, there has to be a representative that actually represents our voice. The other thing I want to add really quickly concerning how we can heal, let me just say this. Some well-intentioned people can sometimes make matters worse by talking about issues with somebody when they're not trained in that particular area. We may or may not have experienced a little bit of this, and I won't go into detail. I'll just say this. When it comes to the issue of rape, make sure that you have a professional there that can actually address the issue, because we open up Pandora's box and we don't know how to close it. It's a difficult thing. So as we're talking about this, understand that it's a sensitive matter. Understand that there are professionals that are specifically trained. Some of us went to school for 11 years just for this particular issue. So make sure we have resources available. Make sure you have professionals available. Make sure that it is not just an individual professional that's doing the work, but also training communities so that communities can understand how do we address this particular issue. The other thing is that in our churches and other religious facilities, we really have to be able to be comfortable with this discussion, because what ends up happening is a lot of times we act like it is not something that we want to talk about, not something that we're comfortable with. But guess what? We have victims. I don't even like the term victims. We have survivors right in our congregation that are suffering. And if they can't come to us as men and women of God to discuss this particular issue, where else can they go? So this is such a huge topic, and I'm more than happy to discuss it post this particular issue. But I'll leave it there. And I just want to say, even though I went over, I'm like 5 minutes behind on a whole bunch of other stuff, but I'll leave that alone. Okay, here you go.
Thank you, Doc. The question is, how do we heal? Just this week, a colleague of mine lost his nephew due to gun violence right here in Philadelphia. Guess who pulled the trigger? His cousin. His cousin. So if you are my nephew, you shot and killed my child, did we lose one person or we lost two in the eyes of the law? So, is the society victimizing my family twice? can society limit my victim to just my child and help me deal with my nephew, who by virtue of an accidental event took a life? That's the approach we speak in terms of restorative justice. We're not saying they should go free. So in terms of healing, healing is deeply connected to how you feel. When you've been treated for an illness, the doctor is going to ask you, how do you feel? And when you say, I feel good, that means something is working, right? If you hold it in your heart that someone did such an egregious act against my child, against my sister, against my son, my brother, guess what? You carried that burden. You carried that burden. Society carries that burden. What did we learn in the gospel? To forgive is divine. To forgive is divine. And I believe that's where the healing starts. We're not saying the perpetrator should go free, but we don't want to bear that burden. Thank you.
Mr. Cindy, your 2 minutes going.
Oh, okay.
No.
Okay. Well, my suggestion for the healing process would be this. First, it has to start at family level. The family must acknowledge that there is a problem. If you are in denial, like I heard the doctor say, the little girl was raped, a 6-year-old girl was raped, taken to the hospital, and the grandma went, instead of trying to provide family support, the little girl was re-victimized. I told you not to go, not marry out. You know, when people are raped, when people are dealing with traumatic situation, you lend them support. That family support is very, very important. And again, like Doc said, in a situation like this, you need trained people to do the clinical assessment. You know, talk to a trained psychologist, a therapist, and be able to identify what the problem is. If there are medical concerns, let the medical doctors handle that and put in place the appropriate interventions. That's how we heal. In the area of mental health, when you have a situation like this, you need to talk about it. That's why in developed countries, people go for therapy. They talk about it, they discuss the issue, confront the problem, and find the solution. So at the level of the government, my proposition would be that the government should begin to put in place services, because government has a responsibility to care for its people. Develop services, set up institutions that will help families. And lastly, I would like to wrap up that saying that the role AJA can play in this direction. What can we do? Our role will be that to help do the advocacy, the awareness, anything that the women group want us to get to the public, we will be willing to contribute in that direction. Thank you.
Thank you. In terms of the healing, I really suggest a multi-tier kind of healing. It has to be completely societal. It is not on one level. It has to be political, where we put in the right people. It has to be implementation of maybe, if not a TRC report, or at least bring to justice those perpetrators of the war in the first place.
it has to be a spiritual healing, all at the same time. Educational, the whole society needs an overhauling. Thank you. I have to leave now, unfortunately, but it's a big job. So when we talk about politics, we have a presidential election coming up in 2023. We have to make sure the right person gets there. We have Senate election in 2020. We have to start supporting candidates like Edith and like people who will come in there to really work. I mean, there's some, sometimes people vote against, to prove that they are against a government rather than that a person they're voting for will come in and do something good. You know, a vote of against what's going on, just like the Robert Salif vote. That was when Kupon won, people voted against Salif more than anything. People went out there and said, we don't want another Salif in here. In this other case, they voted against CDC or whatever. But we need to start putting candidates there who will work for good causes, not just to vote against who they don't like. Let's support all levels of healing. Thank you.
Okay, how do we heal? There's a religious leader of the 18th century, and also he was also a philosopher called Pelagius. And one of my favorite quotes from him is, "There is no worse death than the end of hope." A hopeless person is a depressed person. We know that. We know that depression is the highest reason for suicide. Hopeless person is a depressed person. A depressed person is most likely a suicidal person. A suicidal person is a dead person. We need to continue what we're doing, but like everybody else has been saying, we need to consolidate our efforts. We need to work together, forget about worrying about whether this other person is shining and his organization is going to look better. We need to stop all the pettiness. We need to come together, harness all of our resources, harness all of our education and professionalism, and work with our people, provide our people with motivation and hope. They depend on us. They expect that of us. Because you know what? Whether we like it or not, we have the education, we have the exposure, we have the experience. We love Liberia. We need to do it for her. So we need to keep doing what we're doing, but come together more often, work together more collectively, sincerely, and try to inspire our people, and try to provide hope to our people. One other good way we can heal also is that continue addressing the issue, okay? Because we know that unresolved issues of the past will always come back to manifest itself in the present and the future in so many different negative ways. So we need not be shy. We need not to have any issues that will be taboo issues. We should get rid of the taboo issues, bring those issues to the table and address them. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I just have two solutions. One, encourage people to get into therapy to find solution to the trauma. That's one thing. We must also meet their spiritual needs in terms of pastors playing a role in resolving these issues. Finally, there was a question asked by Councillor Dennis regarding our awareness of female genital mutilation. I want you all to know that in 2011, Liberia did pass a law prohibiting that. So it's illegal in Liberia to have female genital mutilation. The Senate did pass that in 2015 under the then Minister of Gender, Cassell Taki. So it is a law. The Senate made some strides, and this was a result of the UN Committee on Discrimination Against the Women. So they did that work. So it's against the law now in Liberia, female genital mutilation. So even though that is on paper, enforcement is necessary for that. And this is where we come to the cultural hindrances of the poorer or standard society and their practices. And then there is a political implication in trying to enforce that because people feel that their cultural traditional rights are being violated. But with one voice and in advocacy, we can make that difference. Thank you. I just want to recognize the chairman for the Movement Resolution of Democracy all the way from Holland. Jagdish, your last words now.
So Reverend Ali has raised a very important, he's actually buttressed a very important point made by the brother earlier about the female genital mutilation. Yes, the Senate did pass that law, but the president was supposed to sign on it. So she sat on it and didn't do anything about it for it to be effective. But last year, January 22nd, on her way out, just before George, Weah was inducted into office, she did sign that law, but it's only for 12 months. So as we speak right now, it finished. We got to log it again. So this is one of the things, and this is not a political forum. I don't wish to disrespect President Soli for something, but it's one of the things that, I don't think about her, because all the time she was there, this is a female president who had all the accolades in the world, who, the world was at her disposal. If she didn't do anything for the Liberian women, she could have made sure long time ago that act was passed into law, abolishing completely female genital mutilation. But she played politics because you know why? She was trying to appease our traditional elders. Okay? She was trying to please Zansa Kawa and her group, and so she just played with it. It was the last, she signed signed 5 bills on her way out. It was the last thing that she did. It was the last bill she put her signature on as president. And guess what? It was only valid for only 1 year, from January 22nd last year to January 22nd this year. So guess what? We're back on the drawing board. This is the kind of thing Edith Butler is talking about when she talks about the lack of political will on the part of our leaders. So this is why we should vote people into public office who will not switch on us. You understand? Who will remain consistent and who will do what we need to get done to move Liberia forward.
Thank you so much. It's kind of a troubling at this end because we're getting, got word that we have to be out of here. Unfortunately, this thing should have started at 9 o'clock, and if we started at 9, definitely we have had enough time to discuss and beat up on issues and come up with resolutions and consensus on different things. So we have to pay the price now on the tail end. We have to wrap this up. So I don't have much of a choice but to wrap this up. But before we do that, we will ask our mother to come up. Okay, thank you. Oh, there she goes. She's coming.
I think my representative did a good job. It's just that I'm on the ground working with women and children, and a lot of what you said is so relative, and I really want to know, first of all, if I can get some resources from you all who are talking about all of these people to work with us who are professionals. If you could just leave the resources here with us, so when I get back to Liberia, I can find them. Because since 1983, I've been a woman's advocate, and I'm in rural Montserrat, and I'm facing all of these problems. The female genital thing, I've been fighting that since 1983. And the culture, because we are not together there. Now, this is the time for us to continue this fight. As for the professionals, I've been searching for them. I cannot find them in Liberia. If you give me the resources, I will find them. Because I've been to JFK, and I've been to the office with a psychotherapist, and I have not found him for more than a year. We need the professional, and I understand as a counselor myself that we need to make it right when we are talking with these people, because we can go wrong anytime by, yes. So I need to hear from you the means I can go to get some professional help for the ladies. Thank you.
Thank you. So thank you so much, ma'am. At this point, we'll call on the president, Madam Fanny Dugan Davis to come and give us the vote of thanks, and we'll have our closing prayer. We want to say thank you to everybody who participated, our distinguished panelists. This is a very, very big issue, and I'm sure if we're to take the next 10 years, you guys will have different, topics to talk about. I mean, from all angles concerning this issue. So we are very, very grateful for your participation and your honest and frank discussion on this issue. So I will call on Madam Fanny Dugan Davis to give us our vote of closing remarks, and we can pray and call it a day.
Excuse me. Say something about the Lrtn, okay?
To say something. I mean, we can give you 30 seconds so we can wrap this thing up.
Well, my name is Chabisa Lazarus Addy. I'm the chairman for the Movement of Restoration of Democracy in Europe, based in the Netherlands. We are basically concerned with bringing people to justice who have committed atrocities against people in Liberia, war crimes, crimes against humanity, violation of international human rights laws, and violation of human rights. I'm very interested in your discussion today. 30 seconds, I'll just try to make it quicker. I admire your prudence, but I prefer your boldness. We need to dismantle the mechanism that put in place and make it possible for these things to happen. We also need to implement the tools and programs that will prevent these things from happening. At the same time, applying consequences that when these things happen, there will be serious repercussions. We have in our society cultural traditions and customs that have been used as excuse to allow these things to happen. We have our young girls going to Sunday and Grover Bush when they come into the society at the age of 8, 12, 14. You have their chiefs and their elders, 70, 80 years old, standing by and bequeathing these girls as their wives. And with no offense to you, people who are psychologists and smart, but we cannot rewire people who are 50 and 60 years old. And the programs we need, we all need to integrate it and work together. But most importantly, on the last one, our laws, we must make our laws very effective. The rule of law is there, but we're not working upon it. And I hope together, when we just work more seriously, more hardly for the rule of law to be implemented, we will make a difference. But dismantle your so-called culture and tradition, and we will begin from there. Our society can become better. Thank you.
Before the president make a remark, I want to say a big thank you to the Liberia Radio and Television Network. Like the director pleaded, we want people to support this. This is our own Liberian process of production. Let us give our advice. We're waiting to take their contribution and everything. We want to say a big thank you to you, all the folks in the Liberia Radio and Television Network. Thank you so much for your help. Thank you so much for all the great work you do.
Wow. This was a wonderful, 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 wonderful discussion. Thank you. To the panelists who took the time out of the business schedule to come here today, I say a big thank you. And I hope next year we can have a bigger crowd. Now, it's not easy to convince people to come. It's hard, but thank you. I know together we can make a difference. And that is why we say Women in Action for Change. Together, we can make that change. So I'm asking all women, all Liberian women group, to please come together. That's the only way we can make that change. And to our men, we need your support. The only way we can stop rape, that is if you join us. We can't go this mile alone. We need you to walk it with us. Don't leave us alone. Come with us and let's go. And to all my Liberian sisters out there, I say please, let's join together so that we can have a strong voice. If we don't, we'll never win this fight. So please come along. And tonight I'm appealing to you to please be on time. Please. We start at 7 o'clock so we can be out of here by 12 midnight. Because when they tell Liberians come in 7, they come in 12. So please, 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 if you come in tonight and you don't come early, dinner will be served and you will not eat anything. You know what your mom said? Go to bed. You are outside playing, you ain't got nothing to eat. So go to sleep. So please, with all my love, I want to say again, thank you. And to my sisters out there, I love you. Join in the fight. Thank you.